Entitled mom says it's my fault I got her son suspended after he splashed me with acid. I was 14 when this happened. It was during chemistry when we had to go to lab to learn about neutralization of acid and alkali. Simple stuff, really. So the class was arranged in a way that I'm sitting directly in front of entitled kid. I couldn't switch because we were arranged via index number and cross-gender and a bunch of other factors. Basically, I can't change my seat. On our desks, we had, as far as I can remember, a bunch of bottles containing chemicals, mainly alkalis and acids. Weak acid, but it's still acid. Entitled kid was the classic I don't give a crap about schoolboy and constantly getting in trouble for talking in class, disrupting lessons, not handing in homework. You get the point. Everyone has had this one person in class before, right? The class goes on as usual until the teacher confronts entitled kid about why he isn't doing the experiment. It's just simple adding acid into alkali and seeing something happen. But entitled kid simply just ignores the teacher. The teacher gets a bit frustrated and is saying things like, do the experiment, help your partner, stop being lazy. Entitled kid simply replied, go away. The teacher continued to pester him to do the experiment for a good 2 minutes. Then entitled kid got super triggered and smashed the table before swiping away the bottles of chemicals, which unluckily got me splattered in what I believe was dilute sulfuric acid, according to one of my friends. I thought I was gonna die because I could feel the acid dripping from my hair. My hair was quite long and was able to be in contact with my back, so basically my whole back was covered in acid. The bottles we were given were only 5 milliliters, but I can feel my whole back drenched. The teacher pulled entitled kid by the arm and forced him outside the lab, while the other teacher, there were 2 of them, brought me to the bathroom to wash away the acid that probably is already eating into my flesh right now. It was scary as crap. Like a snake slithering on your back. I got rinsed and had a few red spots on my back and got cream or something applied from the general office. My mother fetched me home to see a doctor. Nothing fatal, really. The day after the lab lesson, I was called to the principal's office with entitled mom and kid and the 2 teachers. My mother couldn't be there as she was working her job at the supermarket. The principal said, according to reports from the teacher as well as some of the kids' classmates, your child splattered acid over OP and had an outburst of anger in class. Entitled mom replies, so? Does that seem to be a problem? Why not just ask OP to not sit in front of my kid then? Excuse me? It's not like I can change my own seat. If I could, I definitely would because I don't want to be around entitled kid. And the principal goes on. Nevertheless, your son is hurt OP and reacted aggressively against the teacher. We have concluded 5 days of in-house suspension, which is basically detention from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Entitled mom's face was red, and entitled kid still had that whatever look on his face. I'm just blankly laughing in my head. Entitled mom, entitled kid, and me were told to leave, while the 2 teachers remained to do some writing on entitled kid's report book or something. As we got out of the office, entitled mom just slaps me on the face, leaving a red mark on my cheek. She yells, why did you get my son suspended? Now, I'm a shy, quiet girl, and I never get into situations like this, so I'm just baffled thinking of what to say. And entitled mom simply gives me another slap, and I fall on the ground. I'm about to break into tears at that point when the principal storms out of his office and loudly asks, entitled mom and kid, you 2 need to leave now. Entitled mom still had the courage to scream into the principal's ears, it's her fault, my son is in suspension. The principal was about to call security at that point when the 2 teachers also came out and asked, what is going on here? Entitled mom screams, this is the absolute worst principal I have ever seen. You made my son receive suspension when this... The principal cuts her off and quietly says, ma'am, you have one last chance to get off school grounds before I expel your child. Entitled mom says with absolute confidence, you can't do that. And I really don't think the principal can because by law, school is mandatory. Though I guess entitled kid can be moved to another school. I'm not a politician. 2 security guards at the school gate came up and asked what was happening. The principal simply asked them to take the mom and kid away, and the security guards dragged them out of the school. All the while, entitled mom was calling the principal out for unfair discipline. And for this whole time, the entitled kid still had that I don't give a crap about anything kind of look on his face, other than a few devil smiles thrown out randomly. I was completely fine after that, and the acid burns left after a few weeks. Last I heard, Entitled Kid was transferred to a private school and probably didn't get his 5-day suspension. Karen thinks her brat can play in our garden. My dog gets hurt and the police are called. Think back to the summer of 2018, the year the story occurred. My mom and I were home alone because the rest of our family was either working or at school. We're sitting in our kitchen and chatting a bit, while my cute dog is outside in the garden napping under some trees. We can watch her through our kitchen window that offers the perfect view into our garden. Said garden is quite big. We have a miniature greenhouse, a lot of plants and flowers, fruit trees, etc. And in the far back is a big trampoline, a sandbox, and 2 swings. We live at the main street of our suburb, so a lot of people pass by over the day. Our backyard is not only cut off by a gate, but the garden is also separated from the parking space for our cars through tall bushes. You can barely see the garden outside of the property, and you're only able to see one of the swings at a specific angle. The gate was closed when the story happened. So my mom and I are just talking when suddenly my dog appears next to me, very much frightened. Trying to calm her down, I sit on the floor and cuddle her, wondering what scared her so much that she fled the garden. You have to know she's very easily scared. She never barks and doesn't attack in situations of danger. She runs. So obviously something must have happened, and it wasn't the neighbor's cat for sure. While I'm on the floor level, my mom has a perfect view into the garden and suddenly says, "What the actual F?" I stand up and look outside as well, only to see a woman and her daughter I've never seen before in my life, standing in the middle of our garden. My mom and I decide to confront her, obviously, and go outside. My sweet pup follows us, ready to protect us, even though she is scared to death. I love her, and I would die for her, not gonna lie. My mom says, "Excuse me, what are you doing here?" My kid just wanted to play, and I need to relax for a bit. This playground is just perfect for her. She sits down on one of our outside stools, and my mom says, "I'm sorry, what? This is private property. My family lives here. This is our private garden, you can't be here." "Don't be silly, this is public space." She literally closed her eyes and faced the sun after that. I'll never forget that. And my mom goes on, "You are literally trespassing. I want you and your daughter to leave right now." Entitled Mom opens her eyes again and says, "Don't lie to me, I'm not stupid." And I say, "Okay, miss, we're giving you a minute to collect your kid and leave our garden, or we're calling the cops on you. You're committing a crime. Please get your daughter and leave." What the F? Are you people stupid or something? My daughter just wants to play and she's not breaking anything. I was getting really pissed at this point and I said, "Effing leave our garden or I will sue the crap out of you." She had the audacity to roll her eyes at me. My mom and I just look at each other and she takes her phone out to call the police. Karen sees this and suddenly gets up really fast. Okay, we're leaving. Calls for Entitled Kid. "Effing whores, you stuck up B-words." We decide to ignore the swearing and just watch her kid walking over to her with the shovel in her hand. My mom still has the phone in her hand, ready to call. Entitled Kid says, "But mommy, I want to play." I know, but those bad people don't want us here. They're really mean to us, so we have to leave. "But mommy." The kid just cries out mommy for a solid minute, while Entitled Mom is taking her time getting ready to leave our garden. Now remember that my sweet angel dog was still next to me, scared but ready to protect my butt. Suddenly, that effing entitled brat just stops crying, looks at my dog, and throws the effing shovel at my dog and actually hits her hard. That thing being made out of metal must have hurt like hell, and my dog cries out in pain. The kid hit her on the head and neck. I pick her up as fast as I can, basically screaming at the kid that she just willingly hurt a living and feeling animal, while my mom doesn't even wait for a second and calls the police. Entitled Mom is yelling at us that she and her brat didn't do anything wrong, and that it was our own fault, that she's ready to leave, etc., while actually trying to leave. But since there is only one exit out of the garden because our high bushes block the rest, my mom simply blocks it. I'm calling my brother at the same time to come home as soon as possible to go to the vet with our pup. My brother and the police arrive at the same time, and while he takes my angel away, I stay with my mom. Entitled Mom is still yelling, and Entitled Kid is crying again. Screw that kid, honestly. And Entitled Mom, being a true Karen, tries to blame us. But since she's obviously not where she's supposed to be, and she's fighting back because she hit one of the cops in the face, she finds herself in cuffs pretty quick. In the end, entitled mom got convicted. Is that the correct term? For trespassing and assault of an officer. But because her little brat attacked my dog, they got away with that. I don't know the medical terms, but my dog's neck was hurt and she was on medication for some time. But the worst thing is that now she is scared of little brunette girls because the brat looked like that, and she avoids the garden if someone is playing with the shovels. To this day, I still ask myself, how the heck a person can even think our garden is a public playground? You can barely see it from outside the property. So yeah, shout out to the entitled mom and kid that hurt my dog and gave her a fear for life. Genuinely, go F yourself.